28 states, billions of naira spent on nomination forms alone, consensus deals broken and forced, sitting governors stepping aside, a party in power using primaries not just to pick candidates but to redraw the political map of this country before a single vote is cast in 2027. I want you to stop and think about what just happened in Nigeria over the last 72 hours. The APC, the ruling party of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has just conducted governorship primaries in 28 states simultaneously. Some of those primaries were free, some were fights, and some were predetermined before the delegates even entered the hall. The question is not just who won the APC ticket in your state. The question is how they won it, and what that tells us about where power in Nigeria actually sits. I have spent years watching Nigerian party politics from the inside and the outside, tracking primaries, reading delegate sheets, sitting in courts as electoral rulings came down. I know how this machine works. This video is about one thing: the complete verified list of APC governorship candidates for the 2027 elections, all 28 states, and more importantly, the story behind the list. Because a name on a ballot paper is never just a name. It is a deal. It is a calculation. It is a signal about who controls each state, who controls the center, and who is being positioned for what comes after. By the time this video ends, you will know every APC governorship candidate across all 28 states, understand how each ticket was won, whether by consensus, affirmation, or contested primary, and be able to read the deeper political architecture this list is building ahead of 2027. Let us go. If you are watching this channel, you already understand that Nigerian politics is not a spectator sport. It is a contact sport, and information is your armor. If you are serious about understanding what is really happening in this country and across Africa, you cannot afford to miss what is coming in the next 20 minutes of this analysis. Subscribe right now. Hit the bell, because I drop analysis here that you will not find on any mainstream Nigerian channel. This is not commentary. This is a masterclass, and it is free, but only if you show up. The 2027 governorship landscape, what you must understand first. Let me give you the legal and structural framework before we go name by name. Under the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 182 specifically, a governor is limited to 2 terms of 4 years each. That's 8 years maximum. This matters enormously in 2027 because several sitting APC governors are completing their second terms and cannot return. Their successors must be found. Their political legacies and their political survival depend on who they install. The Electoral Act 2022, Section 84 specifically, governs how parties must conduct their primaries. It gives parties 2 routes: direct primary, where all registered party members vote, or indirect primary, where delegates vote. There is also the consensus option, where a sole aspirant is affirmed, provided all other aspirants withdraw in writing and delegates ratify by voice vote. This is the mechanism that produced many of the outcomes you are about to hear. Now, 2027 governorship elections will be held in exactly 28 states. 8 states, Bayelsa, Edo, Kogi, Anambra, Imo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ondo, have off-cycle elections and are not part of this exercise. That is important. Some of the most politically charged APC states, like Imo, where Governor Hope Uzodinma has controversially opted to run for Senate instead of seeking a second term, are not on this list. The APC set the cost of its governorship expression of interest form at 10 million naira and the nomination form at 40 million naira, 50 million naira total per aspirant. With 101 aspirants across the country, the party reportedly generated approximately 5 billion naira from form sales alone before a single primary was held. That is the economy of power in Nigeria. Remember that figure. Primaries were originally scheduled for May 21, 2026, with a few states shifted to May 22nd due to last-minute tensions. What emerged from those 2 days is the list I am about to take you through, state by state, zone by zone. The full list and the story behind every name. Let me give you the confirmed APC governorship candidates, and I want you to listen not just to the names, but to the method of their emergence, because that method tells you everything. Northwest, 7 states. Jigawa, Governor Umar Namadi, affirmed by consensus. All 287 wards unanimously endorsed him at Dutse Stadium. Clean, organized, no contest. Namadi is a first-term governor seeking re-election. This was always going to be smooth. Kaduna, Governor Sani, affirmed by consensus, securing 459,393 votes in a mass affirmation exercise. Sani has positioned himself as the face of a new Kaduna, post-El Rufai, a different energy. The numbers were overwhelming. Kano, Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, consensus affirmation at Sani Abacha Stadium, Kofamata, despite heavy rainfall. Senator Barau Jibrin moved the motion. Senator Kawu Sumaila seconded it. Note those names. They matter in the power structure of APC Kano. Katsina, Governor Diko Rada, consensus arrangement, no serious contest. Kebbi, Governor Nasir Idris, consensus candidate, first-term governor, ticket uncontested. Sokoto, Governor Ahmed Aliyu, affirmed, pledged to continue focus on security, infrastructure and social welfare, with banditry still defining crisis in Sokoto. Zamfara, Governor Dauda Lawal, emerged Thursday, consensus flag bearer. Northeast, 5 states. Borno, Mustafa Gubio. Now this is a significant name. Governor Babadana Zulum, arguably the most internationally recognized APC governor in the Northeast, is stepping aside after 2 terms. In his place, Mustafa Gubio. And who presided over this primary? Vice President Kashim Shettima, Zulum's predecessor, Borno's most powerful political figure, flying in personally to install his preferred successor. That is not coincidence. That is architecture. Gombe, Jamilu Gwamna. This was contested. Gwamna defeated former Communications Minister Professor Isa Pantami, who scored 12,120 votes, and former Transport Minister Saidu Alkali, who scored 11,602. But here's what you need to say clearly. Pantami had withdrawn before the primary, citing violations of the Electoral Act 2022 and the lack of transparent process. Alkali boycotted. The Electoral Committee said the complaint arrived after their names were already printed on the ballot. That is a significant legal and procedural issue that will not go away quietly. Adamawa, Ahmed Aminu Galadima. Several aspirants, including former APC National Vice Chairman Mustafa Saliu, withdrew in Galadima's favor. Adamawa has been a PDP state until the defection of Governor Fintiri to APC. This is a succession battle with massive 2027 implications. Taraba, Agbu Kefas, the sitting governor, a PDP defector, now flying APC colors. First-time governor, emerged on May 21. Yobe, Baba Malam Wali, former secretary to the state government. Governor Mai Mala Buni is stepping aside to contest a Senate seat, Yobe East, after 2 terms. Buni personally endorsed Wali. 3 aspirants rejected the consensus and demanded direct primaries. Watch this space. The resistance here is real. North Central,
5 states. Benue, Governor Hyacinth Alia, first-term governor seeking re-election. Some aspirants had rejected consensus, but the primary proceeded. SGF Senator George Akume has been brokering peace in Benue APC for months. Kwara, TBC as of May 22. The primary was postponed by the APC National Working Committee on May 21 amid intense political tensions. Kwara had the highest number of governorship aspirants of any state nationwide, 15 aspirants. Governor Abdul Razak, who is stepping aside to contest a Senate seat, endorsed Abdul Fattah Yahya Seriki as his preferred successor. But that endorsement did not end the contest. The postponement speaks to a party struggling to manage its own internal conflicts. Nasarawa, Senator Aliyu Wadada, the anointed successor of Governor Abdullahi Sule, who himself is stepping aside for the Senate. Nasarawa's primary was also delayed to May 22 due to late arrival of electoral materials. Niger, Governor Mohamed Umar Bago, first-term governor, consensus candidate, uncontested. Plateau, Governor Caleb Mutfang, contested primary. One challenger, retired officer Yilchini Bida, insisted on staying in the race. Mutfang won.
Southwest, 3 states. Lagos, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, current deputy governor. This is the most politically watched succession in Nigeria. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is term limited. Tinubu personally endorsed Hamzat. Former PDP candidate Jando also withdrew and endorsed Hamzat after a meeting with President Tinubu. Hamzat won the primary. Lagos is Tinubu's base. There was never going to be a true contest here. But the optics of pulling even PDP men across to endorse your candidate before the primary, that tells you exactly how total Tinubu's grip on Lagos politics remains. Ogun State, Senator Solomon Adeola, popularly known as Yayi, representing Ogun West, affirmed across all 20 local government areas in a peaceful exercise. Governor Dapo Abiodun is term limited and heading to the Senate. Oyo State, Senator Sharafaddin Ali. This was a contested primary in a state with 11 APC aspirants, including former Power Minister Adebayo Adelobu. Ali won, but Oyo is historically a PDP state under Governor Seyi Makinde. The APC ticket here is a prize worth having, but it is also the hardest fight to win in 2027. Southeast, 3 states. Abia, Benjamin Kalu, a high-profile name, current Speaker of the House of Representatives, emerged from a contested primary. Abia has traditionally been PDP territory. APC fielding the Speaker of the House, that is a serious play. Ebonyi State, Governor Francis Nuifuru, first-term governor, consensus candidate. Ebonyi is one of the few Southeast APC strongholds. Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba, first-term governor, emerged on May 21. South-South, 5 states. Akwa Ibom State, Governor Umo Eno. Massive turnout at his affirmation. Rain did not stop supporters from showing up. Cross River State, Governor Basi Otu. One aspirant, which meant definite consensus. Delta State, Governor Sheriff Oborewori, consensus candidate. Oborewori, a PDP defector, is now the APC incumbent. River State, Kingsley Chinda. This is perhaps the most dramatic outcome of the entire primary season. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who defected to APC, was screened, then withdrew before the primary, citing a desire for peace and stability in River State. Kingsley Chinda, a former minority leader in the House of Representatives, emerged as the dominant figure. The APC declared him candidate. But let me be clear. The politics of River State and what Fubara's withdrawal really means will require a full dedicated video. There is a story here that is not fully told. Bauchi State, TBC.
primary postponed to May 22 alongside Kwara. Yakub Dogara, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, was a leading aspirant. Bauchi is a PDP state under Governor Bala Mohammed. The APC ticket here is a challenging one, but a high-profile name like Dogara carries weight.
The law, the loopholes, and the leverage. Let me now put on my legal hat because several of these primaries have already generated disputes that could reach the courts. Section 84 of the Electoral Act 2022 is the governing provision for party primaries. Subsection 84, subsection 1, requires that only valid card-carrying members of a party who have paid their dues can participate as delegates. Subsection 84(5) mandates that INEC must be notified and present at all primaries. Subsection 84(9) sets out the consensus procedure, requiring that other aspirants withdraw in writing before the affirmation is conducted. Here is where it gets legally interesting. In Gombe, Pantami and Alkali's complaints were dismissed because their names were already on the ballot. But under Section 84, subsection 9, and previous Supreme Court rulings, including the landmark case of APC versus McCarthy 2020, the party's internal process must comply substantially with its own guidelines. If there is documented evidence that the committee received complaints and proceeded regardless, that is ground for a tribunal challenge. In Yobe, 3 aspirants publicly rejected the consensus arrangement and demanded direct primaries. If the party went ahead with consensus despite their refusal to withdraw in writing, that primary is legally vulnerable. In Lagos, the involvement of a former PDP gubernatorial candidate publicly withdrawing to endorse an APC aspirant before the primary raises questions about whether the primary was truly open or whether it was stage-managed with cross-party coordination, which Section 84 does not contemplate. Under Section 285 of the 1999 Constitution, pre-election matters must be filed within 14 days of the cause of action. That means aspirants who wish to challenge these primaries have a very narrow window. The clock is running. Before I go into the deeper agenda, the political calculations beneath this list, I want to hear from you. Drop your state in the comments right now. Tell me, do you trust the APC primary result in your state? Was it free, fair, and transparent? Or was it a selection dressed up as an election? Because in the next section, I am going to show you a pattern in this list that should concern every Nigerian who believes in democratic governance. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Subscribe if you have not, and keep watching. What this list is really telling you. Step back from the individual names and look at the architecture. 7 sitting APC governors, Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa, Inuwa Yahya of Gombe, Hope Uzodimma of Imo, Dapo Abiodun of Ogun, Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa, Abdulrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara, and Mai Malabuni of Yobe have stepped aside from the governorship race and are now contesting Senate seats. 7 governors choosing the Senate over a second term. As governor, think about that. In Nigerian political culture, the Senate has historically been the where powerful men park themselves between battles or protect themselves when the political climate shifts. 7 governors making that move simultaneously tells you something about how they read the 2027 environment. It may also tell you about how the presidency reads these states. Sometimes a loyal governor in the Senate is more useful to the federal government than a term-limited man finishing out his tenure at home. Now, look at where consensus was most aggressively imposed: the Northwest, South-South, and Southeast. These are zones where APC's grip is either ironclad or newly acquired through defections. Consensus in these zones was not about party unity, it was about efficiency, about ensuring that the presidency's preferred configurations are locked in without the mess of an open contest. Contrast that with the states that refused consensus: Gombe, Kwara, Bauchi, Lagos, Rivers, Adamawa, and Adamawa. These are states where either the incumbent is unpopular enough that challengers smell blood, or where multiple powerful political figures have competing visions for who controls that state. These contests are not just about governorship, they are about senatorial influence, state assembly control, local government chairmanships, and, critically, the delegate machinery for the 2027 APC presidential primary. Do not forget, the 2027 presidential primary is scheduled for May 23, 2026, just 2 days after these governorship primaries. President Tinubu is seeking a second term. The governors and candidates he installs in these 28 states will control the delegate votes for that presidential primary. This entire governorship primary season is, at one level, also a Tinubu second-term infrastructure project. That is the architecture, and it is hiding in plain sight.
Africa has seen this before. What is happening in Nigeria's APC right now? The simultaneous deployment of consensus mechanisms, sitting executives installing successors, and party primaries as presidential delegate management tools is not unique to Nigeria. In Kenya's 2022 election cycle, President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee Party and William Ruto's UDA both used their party nomination processes to settle larger political wars. The result was a fractured political landscape where nomination disputes and court challenges ran parallel to the general election itself, creating exactly the instability that had been predicted. In Senegal in 2024, President Macky Sall's attempt to extend his grip through institutional manipulation, including at one point postponing elections entirely, triggered mass protests and an ECOWAS intervention. The African Union's electoral standards, as codified in the 2012 African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, are clear. Party primaries must be transparent, competitive, and free from undue executive interference. Nigeria is a signatory to that charter, and when sitting governors with the weight of state resources, security apparatus, and federal patronage behind them supervise the primaries that produce their own successors, the line between party process and executive imposition becomes very thin. The lesson from across the continent is consistent. Primaries that are perceived as illegitimate produce candidates who are contested, and contested candidates are vulnerable, not just in court, but on election day. What happens next? 3 scenarios for how this plays out. Scenario 1. Smooth sailing. Probability 40%. The APC's primary outcomes hold. Post-primary appeal committees sit on May 23rd, 24th and resolve outstanding complaints administratively. Kwara and Bauchi complete their exercises cleanly. The Gombe and Yobe disputes do not survive legal challenge. The APC enters 2027 with a unified full slate of 28 governorship candidates and a revitalized presidential campaign for Tinubu. This is the party leadership's preferred scenario. Scenario 2. Legal turbulence. Probability 45%. Multiple pre-election suits are filed within the 14-day window under Section 285. Gombe, Yobe, and Rivers are the most exposed. Some suits succeed, forcing reruns or candidate substitutions under Section 33 of the Electoral Act. Political realignments follow as aggrieved aspirants defect to PDP or Labour Party, energizing opposition in key states. The APC enters 2027 with some states still in litigation and internal factions openly hostile to the consensus candidates. Scenario 3. Political earthquake. Probability 15%. A critical mass of aggrieved APC members in one or more major states, Lagos, Kwara, or Rivers, openly defect or mobilize against the APC candidate in the general election, engineering what political scientists call internal sabotage. This has happened before in Nigerian politics. It happened to APC in Imo in 2019. It happened to PDP in Rivers repeatedly. The party that cannot unify after its primary is the party that hands the opposition a gift. My assessment? Scenario 2 is the most likely trajectory. Not a crisis, but a contested path to 2027. My verdict. Here is where I stand. The APC has executed the most ambitious and complex simultaneous primary exercise in recent Nigerian political history. In 48 hours, they have named governorship candidates for 28 states, managed 101 aspirants, generated 5 billion naira form revenue, and locked in a delegate architecture designed to secure a Tinubu second term. Some of it was clean. Some of it was pressured, some of it was nakedly imposed. But here is what I will say to every Nigerian watching this. A party primary is not the election. The primary tells you who the machine wants. The general election in 2027, if it is free and fair, will tell you who the people want. And in a country where voter apathy is rising, where trust in institutions is falling, and where citizens increasingly feel that the process is predetermined, the real danger is not that a bad candidate wins. The real danger is that people stop showing up at all. Do not let them win by making you stay home. Watch this list, know your state's candidate, ask the hard questions, and show up in 2027. The name on the ballot is the beginning, not the end. Share this video right now with someone in your state who needs to understand what just happened in these APC primaries. Send it to your WhatsApp group, post it on X, because the analysis that changes things is the analysis that travels. And if you want my next deep dive, I'm going into every single state where these primaries were contested or postponed, the disputes, the legal exposure, the political fallout. I'm dropping that very soon. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. This channel is not just a media platform, it's a political education movement, and it only grows because you choose to be part of it. Unfiltered, unscripted, uncompromised. See you in the next one.